Okay, fuck this stupid place. I'm lost. How hard is it to find Raven when there's like 5 roads in this entire place? I mean, I can't tell that fjord from that fjord, whatever the fuck that word is, or that volcano from that one, and half of these names, aside from the fjords, are just like something you'd get out of a freaking baby on crack smashing the keyboard. Raven, why the fuck did you have to move to Iceland? You dick!
Scarlet? Is that you?
Finally! There you are! How can such a small country be this big?
Oh, that's easy. You see, it's because most of Iceland exists on a special plane on another dimension. Harnessing geothermal energy and Björk's power, the country is able to slip into a dimension that—
Okay, look, it's been way too fucking long. You haven't made a commentary in almost a year. You're overdue.
Well, what, now? But I'm busy here. I was appointed by Björk as a foreign relations manager, we just built a new volcano, and we almost won UEFA.
Raven!
Oh, okay, fine. It has been a bit too long, and I've missed a lot. So, I guess I gotta start looking for maybe something on music, or video games, or—
No. There's something for you right here. As the queen anime of the CC, I think it's time that you tackle some of the weebs.
No! I always knew this day would come. If I must. Wait, I thought TOG was the queen.
He is obviously the princess.
Yeah, okay, fair point. Well then, if I have to go against the weebs, I'm gonna go straight for the jugular on this one.
Oh, so you mean...
Yep, it's time I tackle the form. Gaijin. Wait, hold on. This won't do. I need to make use of video space. Hold on, let me find a background. Fucking shit. Where's background? Background. Wait. Oh, this will do. Let me just put it up. Here we go. There, that's better. Golden clear. This is MrSirRaven back once again. So yes, I have been gone for so long. Blame it on a busy and terrible semester, and also I was traveling with a friend who is a loser. So while the summer was starting, I was in Ireland and Iceland. Yeah, Iceland. I went there. Yeah, Iceland. I went there. Yo, Iceland. And having spent a week in Iceland, I must say words could not describe my experience. I loved everything about it, and I'm determined to go back soon. My background is in fact one of the pictures I took from the trip. It's just outside the famous Blue Lagoon spa near Grindavik. So I didn't really have time to work on commentaries, and I know this video was made back in April, but I have seen no one talk about this, and honestly this was something that I really wanted to tackle. Because man, if there's one thing I really want to talk about, it's weeaboos. Oh yes, the weebs. Who can forget them? Who can hate them? The answer is no one and everyone. Now generally, I don't care if you like anime. I mean, I like anime. I think you can tell I do. I have a pretty short list, but I still like anime like The Filthy Frank Show and on my all-time favorite, Tonarino Seinferudo. So a while back, one of my friends linked me to this video that was by none other than Gaijin Goombah, a channel that I've mainly only heard of and not really watched myself. Although it seems from my friends on and off the internet that the reception towards Gaijin tends to lean more negative. But anyways, he has a video on what a weeaboo is, and well, you'll see what I have to say on that. But first, I'm gonna skip the beginning because there's nothing of real substance for a good 2 minutes in. The intro is just him saying the video is gonna be him talking with AkiDearest. So yes, I'm actually commentating on 2 people. You get 2 for the price of 1. Lucky you guys.
But for me, I've been dabbling in a lot of anime content as of late. I mean, I talked about what it means to be otaku, hikikomori, talking about fan service. So I figured, let's talk about the one thing that both of us are called on a constant basis, but feel like we don't really deserve it. Weeaboo.
Now, I know this is mainly going to be a potshot point, and that's pretty bad to open up on, but not deserving of being called a weeaboo. Your name is Gaijin. Your overall channel motif is centered around a very telling Japanese theme. Most of your videos are about Japanese media, whether it be anime or video games. In fact, out of the last 30 videos you have made, 2/3 of them are about Japanese media in some way. And that's just at a glance. Your character persona is a Goomba dressed up with a very distinct and unmistakable Japanese motif, especially with the fucking katana you have. It's not really hard to slap the weeaboo label on you.
define what it is. So my definition is basically someone who wishes to abandon their cultural identity in favor of a Japanese identity, with tendencies including thinking that Japan is the best country in the world and massive great glorification. They learn all of their information and everything about Japanese culture from media, you know, the greatest source ever to find it. They have a huge disdain for any other culture, and they tend to think they know everything about Japan, having never been there, but just watched a lot of anime, read a lot of manga. So, good stuff. So Aki, how about you? Like, what do you believe your definition is?
Yeah, well, it's essentially kind of like the same thing, is that, well, first off, weeaboo is thrown around to almost anyone who has any kind of interest whatsoever in not just anime, but just Japan in general. It's almost like it's a crime that we can't even try to learn the language, try to even share any interest in anime, unless you were Japanese, which even then, a lot of people still confuse it with talking about weeaboos, because they'll still pertain it to Japanese people themselves.
While Gaijin's definition was more or less correct, there's something I want to address, and this is going to be the thing that I'm going to try to not repeat throughout the video, but probably fail. While weeaboo, yes, has a set definition, it is also used jokingly, and that's the huge word here. Joke. It's the same thing with saying you like some media with anthropomorphic characters and suddenly everyone's calling you a furry. People know that you're not actually a furry. The only way you'd actually be a furry is that if you yourself said that. But that's the joke of it. But obviously jokes are dead and words hurt, so lo and behold, this video exists.
So
Is there a story you want to share with that?
Oh, yeah. I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I have this friend who's another YouTuber. You guys might know him. He's Joey the Anime Man, and he is half Japanese. He speaks Japanese. He's fluent in it, and he's very familiar with the culture. He's been there, and he's going to live there for quite some time. And constantly, we always like share with each other that even he is called a weeaboo, and it's as if no matter how many times we define it to the public, it's as if it'll never get through to them because it's still just stereotypically given.
Hey yo fam, or maybe it's because people don't care what the actual rigid definitions of words are and they're using it as a joke. Internet linguistics are not something you can necessarily corral into set definitions. People are going to have exaggerated and jokey uses for them.
As anyone that shows or expresses any kind of interest in Japanese culture. This isn't even about like if you're technically Japanese, like it's to a point that I don't even think the people who call weeaboos what they are even understand what it is anymore.
You do know that one of the stereotypes of a weeaboo are people who try so hard to deflect that they're not weeaboos, right? By saying that they're only otakus and that people don't really know what weeaboo means.
And so it almost feels like whenever we're called weeaboo, even when we define it so clearly, it's as if like we're not even allowed to have these passions or aspirations to learn about Japan unless we're a master at it.
Oh, come on, Aki. I feel like that's maybe taking it slightly a bit far. Like, I get that being called names isn't nice, but remember this is the internet. You need to grow a tough skin and can't be discouraged because you were called a simple 7-letter word.
It actually feels on the same insult level of autism, and I hate to drudge that back up, but I mean...
Oh, really? Being called a weeaboo is on the same level as being called autistic? Really, Gaijin? Think about what you're saying here. There's a huge difference when it comes to these words. And it's obvious you didn't want to bring it up because of how quickly you start to jump to the next topic there. Almost cutting yourself off. It's almost like you want to rush by that point so as not to draw attention to it, which failed because you brought it up later on.
It's just a thrown around word, but it's something we wanted to talk about regardless. I mean, for crying out loud, you did a video about weeaboos, which is kind of like just a gigantic middle finger. But It's funny because when I originally conceived of this video, I found your content by looking for pictures of stereotypical weeaboos, and there weren't any.
Are you really sure about that? Either you're lying or you really didn't search hard enough. Let's be real, Gaijin. There is definitely a stereotype when it comes to what weeaboos look like and how they portray themselves online and off.
That was the most hilariously stupid thing, and I found your thumbnail. I'm like, I should give this girl a watch, and everything was right. Like, it just blew my mind. So both of us just kind of want to explore in a little bit less of a ragey way what this definition is and kind of our experience with it, which has always been a lot of fun. So it's interesting because I get called weeaboo all the time outside of the context of anime, manga, and the otaku community in general. Like, my big Japan story is I fell in love with video games and anime, which did evolve into a cultural desire to understand the fundamentals of a society that is so opposite of my own. I became fascinated with the contemporary art, like ukiyo-e bunraku no kabuki rakugo. I became fascinated with their folklore. They've got freaking 8 million gods, and even more stories involving them. Like, one of my favorite animes of all time, which most people wouldn't even classify as an anime, is Nippon no Mukashi Banashi. And if you've ever heard of that, be proud, because I promise you the majority of people throwing around the word of weeaboo do not know.
Oh yes, those people who call me weeaboo don't know what they're saying because I watch a classy anime that most people haven't heard.
Do you understand how much of a weeb thing that was to say? Good for you that you got into Japanese culture due to a love of Japanese media. But you know, having this been one of really the only videos from you I have ever seen, I don't question anymore at all why you get that label thrown on you.
I became interested in their traditional games like Koi Koi, which I'm doing multiple videos about. I became interested in their instruments. I played taiko for like 6 months, and I loved it, and I wish I could do more. I wanted to live there and teach people who were interested in a world that they were told they shouldn't or even couldn't understand, i.e. the rest of the world. And it just blew my mind. And it's like, I'm not even really one that's super attracted to anime. It's like,
oh, come off it, Gaijin. You're attracted enough that you've spent videos talking about it. That's like me saying that I'm not really into anime when I use a fat fucking suit of armor from One Leg, One Arm Boy and his brother, the Child Tin Man, the anime.
I really don't like moe, which is the whole topic of the other video that we did together.
Yeah.
Like, I respect the ever-loving crap out of One Piece, Attack on Titan, and Kill la Kill, and a lot of other popular shows, but I just am not that big a fan of one. Like, my top 5 anime, with no particular order, are Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai 7, Azumanga Daioh, Oshiete Galko-chan, really like that one, and Genshiken. And if you know all of those, congratulations, because those are really obscure.
Oh, I'm not really attracted to anime because I don't like the popular ones, but these fairly obscure anime I do.
I think that's way more of an argument that you are super attracted to anime. Also, I looked up that last one, and apparently it's about an otaku club. Boy!
Yeah, I would totally agree. And, I mean, even that being said, it's just like, for me, I am openly admitted to saying that I'm just an anime casual, meaning that I would like to think I was not an elitist because even though I make anime analysis, I explain it in such a way where it's just it's so simple, and I feel like I'm not even pushing it in anyone's face. I'm just an anime channel, and when you come to an anime channel, you get exactly what you came for, and yet, you know, and I'm showing my interest in anime, and I share that passion with, you know, people.
How can you say you're an anime casual and then in the same breath say that you've devoted your channel to reviewing anime? That makes no sense. You're way more than a casual if that's what your channel's about. Holy crap, hashtag cognitive dissonance. That's like Ryan saying, oh, I'm just a commentary casual. But he has dedicated his channel to commentaries. He is, by all definition, a commentary weeaboo. A CC-aboo.
But it's as if, like, I can't do that without being called a weeaboo. And as I said before, if you're not Japanese, then you'll be called a weeaboo whether you like anime or whether you just like Japanese culture, or even a mix of the both.
Welcome to the fucking internet, where everyone is an asshole and also sometimes perverts, and they all like to make fun of you. Yeah, it sucks that the internet generally brings out the worst in people, but it's not really gonna get any better. You're just gonna have to grow a tougher skin. Besides, I feel like that there are way worse things to be called on the internet. Also, I know it sounds like I am skipping in between points to interject a lot, but the problem is that with both of them, especially Aki, they don't often end a sentence, so their points ramble on. Both of you seriously need to learn to take a beat in between thoughts. And I get that this is non-scripted and on the fly, and I've had that problem in the past, but it is an issue.
We feel like on the internet, socially that it's already engraved that weeaboo is kind of almost like just a slang term just to slap onto.
Oh, no fucking shit, really? I didn't know that. Except here's the problem. Weeaboo has always been a slang word. Slang, by the way, refers to vocabulary of non-standard words and phrases in a given language, usually associated with subcultures. You know, like the internet. Weeaboo has never been standard lexicon. Stop trying to paint it like it was.
Anyone that doesn't like anime, especially if you don't like anime, if you don't like anime and you do not like the community of people that like Japanese culture and anime, if you find if that's very alien to you, those people tend to throw out the word weeaboo without even knowing the correct context, and even if they do, they don't care.
No.
Of course they don't, because they're trying to make you upset, and judging by the fact that this video exists, it worked. Because here you are, bothered enough that you are trying to be prescriptivist with language, and holy shit, do I hate prescriptivists with linguistics. Not just any language, but with slang! Joking slang!
And that's the thing too, is like when we both started talking about putting this video together, we just kind of looked at each other and be like, it's not gonna matter. The comments, go ahead and fill the comment section full of you are weeaboo, kappa face, whatever.
Weeaboo trash.
We kind of don't care, because by just blurting that out, you don't matter.
You know what I am really tired of people saying? That they don't care about a topic. But then devote an entire video to the topic, for fuck's sake! You care! You made this video and spent about 20 fucking minutes on it! You can't say you don't care, you wiener! Let's get some guidelines clear, just for anyone that's watching this. If you absolutely don't care, then here's what you can do when making a video on the topic. Step 1, don't! By making a video on the topic, you care. You care enough to devote time to this. I can't say that I don't care about this video or about this topic, because I do. Because I devoted time to script, edit, and upload this crap to YouTube.
In fact, the greatest compliment I ever received from anyone in Japan, it actually came from the math teacher at the school that I worked at, Tani Sensei. This was at Kimono High School. Look it up if you think I'm lying. It's real. And I remember I was working on just my little laptop that had no disk drive. And he was talking about it, and I said, what did I say? It was like, Totemo benri na dakedo, shoto fuben na. CD drive ga inai desu kara. Or, not inai, just nine dakara. And he stopped, and he looked at me, and it was just this weird quietness. And then he said, Nihonjin mitai. And for those of you that don't speak Japanese, that means, it literally means you look Japanese. But in the context of it, it's like he was telling me that I was one with their society. I understood their society. Wow. I've worked my ass off to under that 14 years to understand their society and to be ready to live in it, because I loved it beyond popular culture into contemporary culture and contemporary art. And you can't take that away from me. I don't care how many times you call me a weeaboo. I don't care how many stupid comments you ever make. They themselves told me I was adept.
Great story, but didn't you say that you called yourself Gaijin for a reason? Which, by the way, if it wasn't obvious to anyone, Gaijin means foreigner, literally outside person. And some feel there is a negative connotation to it, so the phrase Gaikokujin has been adopted as a more neutral way to say it in Japanese media. You said it's because you will never be accepted as an equal by them. Yet here you are saying that they themselves, and by they you mean one person, representing a whole ethnicity, said you were adept, as if that was some sort of acceptance. You know, Gaijin, I'm beginning to really understand why my friends tend to not like you, and it really doesn't have much to do with you being into Japanese media. In fact, one of the people who I know is the most vocal about not liking you is a big weeb himself for John G's adventure that is not orthodox in the slightest.
At this point, I'm just really desensitized to the word, because no one's gonna come up to me on a con and dare call me that.
Right.
Because I will put you in the metaphorical ground.
Metaphorical ground.
So you're desensitized to it, but not enough to shit on someone if they dare call you that in public. You know, if you're gonna be prescriptive on weeaboo, then maybe understand how words work, because you can't be desensitized if you're gonna put someone in the ground for calling you something that you said you didn't fucking care about! I think my blood sugar's low.
It's like, okay, so you know how people are like, I spent 12 years in doctor college, and you don't call me Mr., you call me Doctor. I didn't go to school for 12 years for you to call me Mr. I'm the same way. I didn't spend 14 freaking years of my life to understand these people out of a love and a desire to not only teach them, but teach all of you about them, because it's even to this day, it's still kind of a big thing. I understand that Korea is really, really poppy right now, but regardless, it's like...
First off, great job finishing your own thought there before just tangenting yourself into the next thing. And no, I'm being serious, he doesn't finish that thought. Second, tell me how that doesn't sound arrogant at all.
I didn't spend 14 years of my life doing this to be called a weeb.
Definitely not snobby, no sir.
I guess it doesn't matter because I don't care anymore.
And so I lie on the floor and wait to wake from this nightmare, but I find that I am still here, trapped.
I've earned it.
Right.
And like we've both already said, it doesn't matter because people are going to be doing it anyway. But I just don't care. Your argument is invalid.
If he says that he doesn't care, one more time, I am going to scream. I mean it. My well of patience has run dry. Let's keep that in mind and just try to finish this.
And I just don't care.
Motherfucker!
And our top story tonight, a volcano that no one can pronounce has erupted again in Iceland, causing major air traffic jams for commentaries. So far, most of Western Scandinavia, the Low Countries, and the British Isles are covered with ash, so sucks to be you, Akraloth. The ash storm may spread across the Atlantic to the furthest reaches of Arctic Canada, where David will surely be affected if he isn't already dead. Wait. I just received news that David is dead, confirmed dead by explosion. The ash cloud will persist until Bjork quells the elements, or once people finally stop caring. Up next, Master TP10's story on how he completely took over the pickle industry, and how much vaporwave is too much vaporwave. And finally, is Ryan Rhino Mills polluting the current youth? Our findings may surprise you.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I think that, like, I could pretty much end it with just saying, like, you know, it's unfortunate to say, but we can't say that we didn't try, that people haven't tried to explain what this was. But I feel like now it's already just engraved as a slang term.
Right.
It never stopped being slang. It is not common English lexicon. In fact, I tried to look it up in multiple online dictionaries, and the only one that it actually gave me a definition for was in Wiktionary. And even then, it labeled it as slang. Stop using the word slang. You obviously don't know what it means.
That unfortunately has been, well, first off, just where it derived from doesn't even make any sense, let alone even today, you know, it doesn't make any sense. So
it came from a comic that had nothing to do with Japan or anime or anything.
Exactly, yeah, it came from a comic that was completely irrelevant, and even to this day, you know, we gave it a definition, and even that didn't stick.
Both of you are wrong, and good, because this means I get to go into the etymology of the word weeaboo. The antecedent of the word was Wapanese, a portmanteau of the word white and Japanese, used in the same vein as the word wigger is. Around 2003, the word Wapanese became very prominently used on, where else, but 4chan, and continued to be abused until about mid-2005. By then, since the word had been so overly abused, moderators made a word filter that replaced the word Wapanese with weeaboo, which was taken from a Perry Bible Fellowship strip. In the original comic, the word didn't really have any meaning other than it was something that was undesirable and deserving of punishment. The word filter kept around, and the word just kind of stuck with users. In a ways, it's almost like a weird minced oath of Wapanese. And since 4chan is popular and many frequent its boards, the word spread across the internet, and now we have the word weeaboo today. Why this word? Probably due to the slight proximity of it and Wapanese, both being W-starting trisyllabic words that share the same stress, but they're distinct enough that you couldn't misconstrue one for the other. So it wasn't irrelevant and unrelated, it was just an odd minced oath to replace a word that got used too much. Please sit back down.
So unfortunately, I feel like I think I can say that I know that the term weeaboo is now just a slang term that has been transformed into such an abusive definition and such a very ignorant kind of how should I put it? It's just really ignorant to just throw it out there without even knowing the context anymore.
But it's always been a pejorative term. It's never meant anything nice. It's always been used as a word to make fun of anime fans. Whether it's the rabid obsessive Japan is great, everything else is terrible desu ones, or the ones that just happen to like a few animes and mangas. It came from 4chan after all. Did you honestly expect anything good out of them?
And this is oh, sorry, what?
No, I was just gonna say, it's like what I had mentioned earlier. It's basically the autism term for anyone who likes Japan. Mm-hmm. It's just that insensitive, that unfeeling, that unthinking.
Oh my god, no. Holy shit, no. I want to say my point on this for right now because let me explain, Gaijin, why it's not like using autism as an insult. Here's the deal. Autism is a neurodevelopment disorder that people cannot help having. It's a real issue that people are born with having and affects a lot of people. You cannot be born a weeaboo. And while yes, it is childish to be making fun of people for what they like, it is in no way on the same part as using autism as an insult. It isn't the same. One is something that you cannot help having, and the other is just about something that you like. Honestly, I'm cringing from the fact that you would even par the two like that.
So it's like, if someone calls you, let's just close it with this. If someone calls you a weeaboo, pity them. Pity them, for they are too stupid to ever understand what it means to know something and love something beyond their backyard.
Right.
Or maybe they're just joking or saying it because they know it gets under your skin. Which, once again, that obviously worked here. This video is the corpus delicti.
Right, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. It never did mean anything, and, you know, it's pointless now.
And yet, here we all are. And speaking of, I'm going to skip showing you the ending because I have nothing to say, so it'd be pointless to keep it in here. So at 19 minutes and 25 seconds, we finished the video, and just, you know, I'm sure Gaijin isn't the worst person out there. Good that he had his time in Japan, fell in love with the culture and respects it. But I think what bothered me the most about the entire video, aside from the fucking autism example, was throughout the entirety of this video, Gaijin's main point was that he wasn't a weeaboo because he earned the right to not be called it. But yet, throughout the video, he's doing things that are pretty stereotypical of weeaboos. I felt his use of Japanese in the video, his story about being accepted, his knowledge of obscure anime, and so on, was all bragging in a sense. But then on the other hand, he doesn't care and the haters' arguments are invalid. Look, Gaijin, you can either boast about your aptitude or you cannot care about being called a weeaboo, because it's obvious that you're only boasting as a reaction. So you either do care or you don't. Pick one. You can't be doing both. And as for Aki, let me say I did go to her channel and watched a bit, and honestly I can say she's a pretty nice person. If I was way more into anime or at least wanted to get invested, I'd probably give her channel a watch. But I felt that she was being way too modest in the video in order to just harmonize with Gaijin's opinion. And the repetition, oh my god. I can't tell if you're just repeating that because you're trying to inculcate everyone into that idea or just didn't have much to say on that topic. In the end, this video didn't help matters and it only left it with thinking that you were indeed a weeaboo. And also a bit of a gross person. Well, that's all I have to say, and I think that wraps up this commentary nicely. Feels good to get back into the swing of things. Until next time, this has been MrSirRaven saying bless, adios, and
Let's fucking do this! I'm gonna die!